This short video has been produced to help with questions that may appear in the Scottish Qualification Authority's exam for the Higher Physics course. In this clip, we are focusing on the dynamic universe and specifically our expanding universe part of that. So here we have the question. You are reading a magazine article which contains the following paragraph. Recent results from science experiments here on Earth have, in fact, shown the universe is contracting, and that this may be because gravity is acting against its expansion. Scientists think that it may be because of the mass in galaxies, which they have calculated by studying how fast stars are moving around galactic centres. Which labelled parts of the article have the magazine got right? And then we have the usual 5 options that we can see. So what's our approach? Well, we need to read the question closely and pick out the things we're being asked about. This is a question that warrants reading fairly closely. We need to look at the options and see if there's anything obvious we can ignore. Well, there isn't at this stage. And we need to recall that we're focused on the Our Dynamic Universe part of the course. We need to read the question again, and we really do in this instance need to read it again. And we need to avoid overcomplicating. If you find yourself lost in the possibilities, you're probably overthinking and should stop and just try it again or come back to it. So this is an interesting question as it's an example of a question that's not a calculation but requires a recall from the course. If you watch another video on my channel, you'll see I do an assessment of the mix of recall questions versus calculation questions, and that's really important to get a grip on, because this is where it'll be useful to have, during your studies, used a highlighter to highlight the big concepts. But we can only really understand those big concepts by analysing past exam papers to see where the focus has been, and that will help you avoid highlighting the entire textbook. That said, it is also worth half a minute to look at the data sheets and equations to see if there's anything there that might just prompt a thought. So here we have the approach to the answer here, and it's key that we extract each statement as a sentence on its own. We take it out of the context of the story and just decide whether each statement is true or not. The first is the universe is contracting. Well, our current understanding, physics current understanding, is that the universe is actually expanding. So we would conclude the magazine hasn't got that right. There is a lot of debate on whether it's stationary, expanding, or may eventually contract, and it's worth, if you have the time, just looking at some of the latest YouTube videos, explainers on that. But for our course, the universe is expanding. Gravity is acting against its expansion. Well, we know that gravity is an attractive force, and therefore it would act against expansion. So the magazine article does have that right. Gravity is acting against its expansion, but obviously gravity isn't winning. There is something else creating that acceleration, and we refer to that, of course, as dark energy. So statement 2 is true, and that's perhaps the most tricky of the 3 statements. The last one, calculated by studying how fast stars are moving around galactic centres, is in fact the way that we assess expansion or contraction of the universe through the Hubble constant. So where does that leave us? Well, that leaves us with 2 and 3 being correct, and therefore answer E is the correct one. But like I say, that second statement is the trickiest here. So the key things to note here, just a couple. Focus on recall from the course. This is really a course recall question. And notice that the statements can be true even if they are not correct entirely within the context of the article or the statement being made. That was the tricky second statement. There are, of course, some other examples to be getting on with here. You can check them out on the Hi page, hi.page/physics, FYSX, where the answers are available. Once again, thanks for watching and see you on the next question.